Evening, folks. I'm in a sitting. Hang on a wee minute. There we go. Excellent. You can probably tell I'm not in my games room. I'm down in my kitchen because my daughter's kind of sleeping. I thought, and she said, "Oh, don't worry, Dad. Just go and do your waffle." But I'm always conscious of the noise, so I came down to my kitchen and I'm actually using my work's laptop. And I thought, how am I going to do the intro? So what I had to do is just effectively play last week's Friday Waffle as the intro. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going into that. It's irrelevant. Good evening, folks, and a big thank you to the wonderful Mr. Del Boy for joining me quite literally at the last minute. You must be used to that by now, mate.
I'm used to this now. It's like all of these really best friends. It's like, oh, I'm going to have this great guy and he's going to be coming next week. Me, it's like, you got 2 minutes.
You're my go-to guy, though. You're the guy that bring it down onto the channel. You know what I mean?
I'm not jealous or anything. You know, this lawn boy and all this sort of stuff. I'm not jealous at all. No, not at all.
You must. I've watched I've watched a dip in and out of your of the live stream that you do with Ian every Wednesday. How do you find that? I mean, it's like 5 hours worth every week.
I keep telling him it's got to be shorter, Ian, because I have to be at work. And ever since actually my health problems last year, I wake up now at 6:10 in the morning. Doesn't matter what. I don't know what it is. At 6:10, I'm up, and at 6:30, I'm dressed and all that sort of stuff. And I don't start work till 8. So I'm tending to find I'm logging into my machine at work at 7:10 in the morning doing work because there's nothing for me to do, right? Because there's a heck of a lot of tablets I have to take, and they take a lot of time in the morning because you have to have food with them and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. So when he goes till 1 o'clock in the morning, it's like... I said, I'm going to have double vision in the morning because of you. I'm going to be knackered.
You know what I did? I tuned in literally just as it was finished, and I managed to get the very last comment in.
Yeah, you did really well. And it's funny. I'll tell you when we finished, right? We finished. I got ready to go to bed. I turned the telly on just to see what was on, and Alvidazane Pet was on. The second episode of Alvidazane Pet
was
on ITV, whatever it was. And I'm going, I'm going to have to watch this now because it's Alvidazane Pet. What a bastard. I should never have turned that bloody telly on. God's sake. Because you know how it is. If Alvidazane Pet's on, you just got to watch it. It's like, a rule. It's a rule.
It's like any of these. It's funny. It's only certain programs, and obviously films are terrible. If like Back to the Future or Jaws is on, you're going to watch it. You can't not watch it.
Yeah,
I know. Can I just? It's a bit of constructive criticism for more for Ian because I know it's his stream.
He reads every comment out. He does.
And what I find frustrating is, I mean, I know I'm not into films as some people, but I'll maybe put a comment in, and then it'll be like 3 hours later you get to it. And by that point,
I have mentioned it, and what I've done, I've turned the comments on so that I can see them. And if I see one that I know doesn't stay late, I say, I'm just going to interrupt there for a minute. I just want to say, hey, my Meister, you know, and if there was a question, I'd bring it up because I know that you're not going to stay there. You know what I mean? There's certain people I know will be there till the end.
Yeah,
you just get used to it. After doing 47 of them with Ian, I know which ones will stay to the end and which ones are just about to come in. But I have told him, look, you don't need to read out everybody's conversations between each other. So there you go.
Yeah. 40. I couldn't believe that when he's.
I think though, man. I think though, Alan. I think it points out just how good, you've been doing this for several years, and we learn every day, right? Every day's a learning day.
Oh,
yeah. I think it just points out how good you are at doing what you do, because you've hosted these sort of things all the time. A selective thing, when you see it, like I must only, that one I can ignore, that one I can ignore. Right, here's a question, whatever it is. I think with Ian, it's like he wants to, and bless him, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He wants to, like me with my blog, say, he wants to read out every comment, to show, look, if you've left a comment, I'm going to read it out and it's going to be verbatim, just exactly how it is. The trouble is you don't do that in chat. You know what I mean? That's something that you can do in your blog because you can control it and all of that sort of stuff. But I think it shows a skill, and I know that you've got it in abundance. I've seen enough. I've seen enough, to know.
I mean, it's a difficult thing because I mean, like, obviously we've got comments there just now. I mean, how many live streams have we done over the years? And then you get to the very end of it and you think, God, I didn't even look at any of it. Well, I didn't even look at half the comments because people are, it's just one of these things. And what I found with Ian's stream is I'll ask a question and then I'll look to see where it is. I think, Christ, I'm about 15 pages away from it's going to be midnight before I get.
Yeah. You're in a bad place when you can't even find the spot that you're actually chatting at right now. It's scrolled off. That's when you go, sod that.
Talking in comments, well, thanks for everyone dropping in tonight. Alan Fox has said, I love 80s computers, but 4 minutes of intro is just too long, man. That's not my normal intro, Alan. That is what I tend to do is if I'm doing a live stream so that people know that I'm actually on, ready to go, I have the kind of this extra long kind of intro thing. I mean, some of the streams that I've seen in the past, like on Twitch and what have you, people there'll be like an intro for like 20 minutes. It's like, bloody hell, you know what I mean? But normally my intro is like 30 seconds or what. It's not normally that length. So how are things yourself anyway, mate? How's what you been up to? How's mum?
Actually, mum's not been well today. Actually, it's funny you should mention it, but I'm going to mention it in my blog. She's okay, don't get me wrong, but she had a bad morning. She had a very bad morning this morning. It was so bad that I had to tell my manager I might miss the 9:30 meeting. But she's been into town. She's got her hair done. She's relaxed. She's watching telly at the moment. She'll be going to bed, I should think, actually, in about 15 minutes. But she came into my room at 5:10 this morning saying, "What time is it?" and all of that sort of stuff. So, and I said, "Mum, go to bed. You got another 3 or 4 hours before you need to be up, and all of this sort of stuff." Then she didn't go back to bed, and that means that she's been awake since 5:10, like I have now. And for somebody at her age, that's not good. She should be knackered now. She should be sort of like going to bed. So I'll monitor it and see how she is tomorrow. But I wanted to have a good night's sleep. And I said, Mum, whatever you do, just go to bed early tonight. Don't go later than 10. Just go upstairs. You'll be knackered anyway. Your body, you may not think you want to go to bed, but you do. Believe me, you do.
Yeah. Arcade, I can see in the chat people are talking about Arcade Club. Yeah, we're going to Arcade Club on the 22nd of March. I know you were talking...
3 weeks, isn't it? 3 weeks, something like that.
Something like that. 2 weeks. 14th.
2 weeks.
2 weeks tomorrow. We're going down. Are you going to get along? I know you were hoping to. Or...
Yeah, hoping to. It all relies now on next week when my MOT is done.
Yeah.
My MOT being done next week. And if that's all okay, then I don't see a problem. I even looked at trains, right? The biggest problem I've got is, will I be okay for a long drive and a long drive back in the same day, or do I need to stay overnight? Now, the longer you leave it, staying overnight, the harder that becomes. But if you go by train, you ain't got to worry about it, have you? Because you just sit back in the chair and just go, I don't give a shit. Somebody else is driving this. But the tickets were, some of the tickets were just astronomical prices.
I know.
Some were cheap, but I didn't understand why they were cheap until I found out you had to change 5 times or something. I'm only going to bloody Manchester, for God's sake. It's just north of Manchester. I used to drive that all the time. What the bloody hell's going on?
Yeah.
It seems the hardest thing is it goes into the centre of Manchester, and then there isn't something that goes to Bury. It looks like you've got to do something outside of that to get to Bury or something. Anyway, I'm looking at all aspects, and
it'd be good to see you.
Worse comes to shove, it's just take it easy. If you have to stop off at a petrol, a station or something, as long as you get there, meet some people, have a nice time, and then travel back, it'll be fine. It's just driving in the dark with when you've had a long day is not brilliant when you've had a heart attack. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure I'm perfectly okay. So I'm looking into everything.
That'll be great.
Doing absolutely everything I can, to be quite honest.
Yeah. No, it's great. It'll be great to see, and obviously you'll get to meet lots of wonderful people, and also Craig Flanagan.
I always said that this is the year where I want to get out and about more. This is a golden opportunity. Yeah. I always do know though that if it isn't this one, that there'll be another one. And of course, you've already said you want to go down to the cave or something.
Definitely want to get that done.
That would be a lot easier for me. But what I want to be able to do is go wherever I need to go. You know what I mean? But maybe it's baby steps. I have to say it's got to be baby steps. I've got to feel in myself, I can do this. And the difficulty is starting off at 6 a.m. and then driving home at night, not getting home till about 11. That'll be a long day for me. And as you know, I got sleep deprivation at the moment. So I'm looking at trains at the moment. I'm looking at trains.
Well, like I said, it'd be good if you can get down. It'd be worth it just to see me annihilate Mr. Flanagan at Virtual Soccer.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've heard big things about this, and I mean, I've seen one video once before on it, and and I was thinking of going there and going, come on, then take me all on at Ghosts and Goblins. Then come on, then come over here. Look, this is how you do it. Look, not really.
This will be the third. This will be the third grudge match that Flanagan and myself have had. He has won both times, but he's been extremely lucky.
Yes, I've heard it's been luck. I've
not really been feeling that well the twice I've played him before. So you're going to see a different. He's
got a Commodore 16 though, hasn't he?
What's that?
He's got a Commodore 16 though, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, that says it all.
He's used to bad games, isn't he? I mean, he's obviously going to be better at bad games, isn't he, than anybody else? I mean, it just shows the class, doesn't it? Really.
He's going to get going, but anyway. Lock my arse, yeah. But apart from that, what you been up to?
Well, to be quite honest, it's just been work, looking after my mum. I have started to do some stuff in the garden, and even when it comes to watching TV, I've been watching Gene Hackman films. Ever since Gene Hackman died, I've been watching Gene Hackman films. It's really weird. It just goes to show you how much I thought that guy was as an actor. He was an absolute brilliant actor.
Yeah.
So I've been watching, Crimson Tide and all of these sort of really great films, like Unforgiven, all of that. And so, I mean, films take up 2 hours or so of your life. So, I mean, it doesn't really leave. But I have been playing my friends' games. I've started that back up. I'll be coming to you at some point.
Please do. Always enjoy that.
And so far, they've all been very nice to me. I dare say that'll change when I get to you. It'll be right. Here's this bastard. Then he's come along and given me a right shit of a game. I've got to play because everybody's been too nice. That's about it, really. I've been doing stuff with Ian. And there will be some other stuff that will be coming along. Actually, I've got one that I'm going to do hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And you inspired me, actually. It's about AliExpress. So I'm going to do a little video on AliExpress, my experience with AliExpress, something I was going to do last year. I bought some stuff through AliExpress, and I just wanted to show off, show what I bought, and this is the sort of stuff you get. Be careful. you know, when you're buying off of AliExpress. So yeah, that'll be coming. That'll be something. Yeah, that'll be in the next couple of.
I mean, one of my friends buys a lot of stuff off AliExpress, and I think it's like anything. It depends what you're buying. You do get some bargains, but then I think I mentioned about what happened with me when I was going to buy that console, and it turns out all I'd actually paid for was the bloody the case. It was like 110 quid for a case, because what they do is they use evening Nova Bug. They use, what do you call it, the thumbnail. Don't just look at the description. Look at the thumbnail, because the thumbnail is the thing you're going to get. Even though they'll say blah 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 games console, but the thumbnail is of the case, and that's what you're actually getting.
There's something else as well. I'll bring into that. Most shops have got how many they've sold of the particular item. So if you see like 10 or 11 that they've sold of this, and you see one next to it, a shop, and they've sold 3,000 or 4,000 of it, then basically probably trust the one where they've sold 3,000 or 4,000 of it, because the 10 or 11 one's probably one of them knockoffs. And that's the thing. If you go on YouTube and the biggest word you'll hear for AliExpress is KO. They keep saying KO this, KO that. It means knockoff stuff, right? So yeah, you might get a knockoff, you might get the absolute bargain of the century and get it real cheap, and it's the actual official product. But go with the numbers. If they've sold 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 of this item, probably go with that shop rather than risk it with one that sold 10 or 11. Yeah.
Evening, Steve. What was I going to say? Have you had any dealings with Temu at all?
With who?
Temu.
Temu? No.
Temu. I don't know how you pronounce it.
No.
Man, you know what Temu is?
I can't think at the moment. My brain's foggy.
Temu. It's like AliExpress. They had adverts on TV and on YouTube. Temu, you buy it, says, was it shop like a billionaire? Temu, it's like Temu.
Why can't I think of what that is?
There's Colin saying Temu.
No.
The advert. Oh, Temu, it's shop like a billionaire. You can buy. It's if you watch any channel that's got a monification on it, you'll get an advert for Temu.
Well, I've got advertising filters and all sorts of stuff on. No, I haven't got Temu. No.
Yeah, you've heard of it though. You've never.
I think I've heard of it. That's why I was saying, what have I heard of Temu? But I can't think what it is. So yeah, it's a little bit like AliExpress then, Temu, isn't it?
I think to compare it with AliExpress, I think AliExpress is like Halfords. It's like bloody Harrods compared to Temu. The thing about Temu is you buy something, and like I'll give you an example. My girlfriend bought a bin for her kitchen, not her kitchen. She bought a bin for her. She did. She bought it for her kitchen, like big bin. And it turned up, and it was about that size. It's fucking miniature. So you think you're getting something, and you zoom in on it, so it looks huge.
She bought a bin for a dollhouse or something.
I mean, there's an advert that crops up on YouTube all the time, and you can buy. Well, you don't buy it. It's like a 1,500 socket set. You imagine a socket set.
Oh yeah.
Every single thing, and the price of that is free. You get it for absolutely nothing. You get things like dash cams for like one pence. It's just ridiculous. I was recording a nice and nasty earlier on with one of my mates, and he was talking about how it seems to be, and it's obviously to do with AI as well, is you get all these adverts for games, and the game doesn't exist. It's just made up, and it's. I mean, I don't know. I know I'm going on and on and on and on and on about it, but I'm really at the end of my tether with artificial intelligence. See if you use Facebook on a mobile phone, every second picture. In fact, I don't even know how. Facebook is completely out of control. Back in the day, you would you go into Facebook and you get all your pals and your family and pictures and all this. I'm just getting Katie Price, picture of this person, picture of this.
Oh,
It's just constant shit. And it's all made up. It's pictures of like a picture of a girl holding a birthday cake, and she's crying and she's saying, "Oh, it's my 21st birthday and I made this cake for myself and nobody cares." And people are putting, "Oh, what a shame, what a shame." It's fucking not real. It's just constant.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it is, or it's that stupid cat with a cat singing a song.
Oh,
I've seen that an awful lot. Whether you've got some sort of like sped up voice that's supposed to make it sound like a baby saying no, and all this, and it's a bloody cuddly little cat with its mouth moving and all that.
And I saw that seemed to be. I saw one where that yesterday. It's a cat working in McDonald's and it's making like a Big Mac.
Right. But you see AI. You see AI. I see AI pretty much as soon as I put my phone on, because if I do a search, it will say right at the top of my Google search, AI generated answer, and then all the sites below for the proper answer. Do you know what I mean? So there's an AI generated. Here's a quick answer to what what it is that you've just typed in, but here's all the websites below where they'll give you the proper answer. You know, and it just says AI generated answer, and it just annoys me because it's right there at the top every time.
But I just wish that Facebook would make it mandatory that if you put a picture or a video or something, you have to state whether it is real or whether it is fake.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. Just
like I say, we like the channels that turn around and say, look, this thing I'm showing has been sponsored, you know, by the person that sent it to me. We like it when they do that. So why they can't disclose, look, this is AI generated, you know, why they can't, I don't know. It annoys me as well.
I mean, I started watching a thing in the TV, and it was it's like they obviously couldn't afford David Attenborough, so they've got fucking Tom Hanks to do it. They've got Tom Hanks to do the voiceover, and you're looking at, and even like the title of this program, it's like Planet Earth, all the different things, and I'm thinking that looks like it's AI. I mean, it's just, I don't know. We've
Well, as you know, I'm dead against an AI version of Parkinson doing an interview. I'm dead against all of that sort of stuff. You know, I don't want to see an AI generated Muhammad Ali having an interview with Parky because they're both dead, and they thought, oh, I know, we'll get these two together with artificial intelligence, and it'll almost seem like we've gone back into the 70s. Bollocks to all of that. I'd rather just watch what they did when they were alive. You know what I mean?
I mean, you get these stupid pictures on Facebook saying, I don't know, here's a picture of fucking Whitney Houston and Prince in 2025, and it's like AI.
Yeah,
fucking dead.
Yeah, it's awful.
The thing is, in you know, I'm going to say hundreds of years' time, we're going to get to stage. Right now, we know that AI is a new thing, and we are clever enough. Well, I was going to say we're clever enough. I don't speak for everybody, because there's always a lot of people that look at these things on Facebook and YouTube, and they believe it to be factual. God help us, you know.
Well, I was going to say, God help you guys if there's an AI Del boy. Bloody hell, just turn over.
Just think, and I was going to say 100 years' time. Just think in 30 years' time, when you and I are both dead, somebody might be watching this. It'll be an AI, you and I doing this thing. I can't help.
Yeah, it's AI Alan. Yeah. Was he really like that? Oh, no, you can tell it's AI. He ain't got his cap on.
Listen, we've got a few questions from last week's Friday Waffle, so I'm going to go through some of these.
I'll tell you one thing. I was watching your Waffle last week, and I didn't even have to hear you reading out your own questions to yourself, right? Because I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to write a load of questions for him, right? And I bet you any money the ones that I put were ones that you'd already written to yourself. But I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go overboard. I'm gonna write 5. The bastard. I'll give him 5 because he was turning around saying, I'm dead jealous, you know. And I'll go, right, I'll give him 5 then. That'll give him 5 weeks worth of stuff look out of this. Look.
Oh, you didn't want right, so you and I are not going to answer all 5 this week then, I take it, no.
No, you carry on. I'm just saying that's why I did it. You know, it was like, oh, all right, I'll give you 5. There you go. But I don't know what I wrote. I just went, oh, I don't think I've asked him that. I don't know whether I've asked him that. I just wrote them out. And apologies if you semi-answered them because I was writing them out while you were reading your own questions out to yourself.
Ah, right. It's pretty fucking sad when you're answering your own questions, isn't it? What the hell? Anyway, talking of that, Mr. Colin Jones Ponder, he's asking, my question, and it's absolutely nothing retro related. What do you think of air fryers? Do you have one or more? I'll let you answer that one first.
Well, I've got an air fryer.
You don't have an air fryer?
No. I haven't got an air fryer. Everything at our house is oven, toaster, microwave, gas hob.
Yeah.
No air fryer.
Do you still use your gas oven?
Very rare, only when we want to do something like a jacket spud where we want it to be crispy on the outside or something. I can't stand doing that microwave and having it all
it's all just soggy or
bloody biscuit crap.
Or if you overcook it, it goes absolutely solid.
Yeah. You know, so I do, if I'm making my own cottage pie or shepherd's pie from scratch, yeah. And the good news about it is because there's only my mum and me, I'll usually make something that's quite large and then we can have it over several days. See what I mean? So
yeah.
So that otherwise heat is it's just so prevalent at the moment. You know, it's like, oh, you put that oven on, it's gonna like you can watch the dial's gonna go like this. Look.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we are aware of that.
So I do have an air fryer, and I've got to say it's probably been the best gadget that I've bought in the last 4 years. I mean, in fact, I bought one. I bought one second hand, and I noticed it had a scratch in it. But the person actually gave me the receipt with it, and it was still within dates. I took it back to Argos and got a new one. But Lee bought me This is the age I'm at. Lee bought me a double air fryer for my Christmas. Hey, and air fryers are great. I mean, I've not had my oven on since I've got the thing. It does everything an oven does, a lot cheaper, and it does it in half the time. I've
heard they're so versatile. You could actually forgo as well your sandwich toaster. You can actually toast bread in there.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like for my lunch today, I had I put 2 bits of bread into the toaster, toasted it, put some cheese in, bunged it in the air fryer for 2 minutes. Perfect toasted cheese.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean.
Or just for even reheating things. It's brilliant. Honestly, I mean, they're as cheap as anything. Get one. Try it out. If you don't,
I'll tell you what, I'd love to. The one thing my mum hates, and I still have to live with the fact that I have to live. You know, this is my mum's kitchen. It's my mum's house, and all. Stuff, right. She does not like clutter on the top of the counters.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to have a cappuccino maker, and I said, "Mum, look, I've got a cappuccino maker. Can I put that on?" No, not having that. Right, kettle only, toaster only, no clutter. I want that for. You know, I want the tops to cut the vegetables up and all of this sort of stuff, right? So, of course, I had to give my really expensive £250 Krupp's cappuccino maker to my sister. When I sold my house and I moved down south, you know, to be with my parents, it was like, you can't have that. Give it your sister then. Right, okay. I mean, Christ. You know, I mean, so half the stuff I can't have because no clutter on the top of the counter. Oh, all right. So, you know, I don't think I could stand having an air fryer that I have to keep putting away in the cupboard, and then bringing it back up, and then putting it away in the cupboard, and then bringing it back up. Do you know what I mean?
No. I would agree with you in that case. Probably don't get it, but honestly, I mean, like my sister is a massive cook. She does a lot of home baking and all that. and they only got an air fryer about 3-4 months ago, and they're like, it's the best thing ever, and it is. It's cheaper. It's fantastic. Cheers, Martroid. Take care, buddy.
I think I can talk around it, because I think that the last time we had this conversation, she wasn't like she is now. My mum now is a bit more relaxed. I think if I went up to her and say, look, Mum, look, I want to make things easier. I want to get she'd probably just turn around and say, yeah, all right, then buy it. I don't think she'll bat an eyelid. It's just that's how she was back then. When I moved back here, it was no way. You can't even put a shelf up in your room. That room is not yours. It was your nan's and all that sort of stuff. So you can put a desk in there, but you're not drilling holes in the walls and all of that sort of stuff. Just, you know what I mean? So I was sort of like stuck. Well, what can I put up then? I want to put a shelf up. I'm not allowed. Jesus Christ, you know.
Well, whatever you do, don't tell her. If you do get one, don't tell her it was my idea, because she'll probably pick my ass the next time she sees me.
Alan said, I'll get away with murder with that. Alan said it was all right.
Right, sticking with food. I don't know what it's. Mr. Steve's Gaming 7475.
That game. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Question number 1. Do you like a curry? And if so, do you like them nice and spicy? Or are you one of those who only eats weak and helpless curries? I would have to say I am firmly in the latter. I don't really like... I'm not a spicy person, so it's
like a mild curry, a korma.
Yeah, it's going to be a korma all the way, I'm afraid, which doesn't really count as a curry. But yeah, what about yourself? Are you?
Well, as you know, the difficulty with me is that most Indian and Chinese foods and all of that sort of stuff, they have an onion base. And I'm allergic to onions.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So, of course, it's very difficult for me. I can have a korma. I tell you what, I really like it when I go and have an Indian and I have tandoori chicken, you know, that you have on the skewers, because that is just some paprika or whatever it is on the outside and just chicken, and I can go, oh, that's gorgeous. And then have some naan bread and all that. And I'm going, yeah, you know, it's one of those things where you can just try little bits. It doesn't matter. Because everybody will say to you, oh, you can have a bit of mine, see if you like it. And then the next time you go, oh, I'll have that next time because I know what I'm going to have, right? I hate going to an Indian and then trying something new and it cost me 20 quid and I find I can't eat it because it tastes like shit, or it had an onion base and I'm ill. Do you know what I mean? So I must admit, I do like going out with friends and trying all different types of foods, and those little bowls with all the little dips and stuff in. Brilliant. I love it. I love going on. I love all it. Yeah. The plan is on the Saturday we're going to spend all day in Arcade Club, and then about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock we're going to go for a curry. And some beer. So yeah, it'd be good if you can get down. And number 2, what is the most dangerous toy you were ever given? For myself, I have to say a skateboard. An uncle bought it for me, and 2 weeks later my mum binned it because skateboarders have been killed. Most dangerous toy they've ever been given. Is a skateboard a toy?
What is a toy? What would you class as a toy?
That's what I'm saying, because that means you could say roller skates are toys. People have got careers with roller skates on and careers in skateboarding. So is it a toy? I
don't know what the definition of toy is, right enough, but dangerous toy.
Because if you want to talk about that, I could turn around and say, look, I had one of them chopper bikes with the bloody gear stick in the bloody thing. You fall off that seat, you hit that gear thing. You're not having kids. Right, so that's dangerous. I can tell you that now. Right, so I'm thinking now, what's dangerous? I suppose it could be anything that I used to fire at my sister because I wanted to shoot her and it hit her.
Oh, you remember? I was going to say, if the question, what is the most dangerous Christmas present you've ever given? I got given 2 tickets to a Gary Glitter concert.
Oh, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Oh, tickets to Jimmy's. Jim will fix it.
Yeah. Or you could turn around and say, lucky escape.
What was I going to say?
I'll tell you the most dangerous. I'll tell you what. I was too young to really know, but I had a Black Widow slingshot. Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah, these was that the one where it's like rubber pipe?
Yeah, it's so powerful. You had an armband. It basically stretched. It's like a slingshot, but it actually has a guard that goes over the top of your arm, so that when you pull it back,
yeah.
Right. And that's because we lived on a farm and we used those to kill rats. If you didn't have a double-barrel shotgun or an air rifle or something, you used a slingshot back in the day, and we're talking the 70s. So when I used to go rabbiting with my dad, I used to go, I wasn't able to have a shotgun until I was 11, 12. So he gave me a slingshot. So if I did see something in the hedgerows, I could use a slingshot. Used to use glass marbles. These things were so powerful, right, that if I was to fire it at the back end of the garden, if it hit the back fence, it would shatter. That's how strong a bloody slingshot was. They were Black Widow slingshots at that.
I do remember them. I mean, we called them catapults. I do remember these ones. Yeah, I think they were banned. Collins mentioned something which I was going to mention. Do you remember? Well, he's called them knockers. Well, knockers is something else to me.
Well, I called them something different. Yeah,
we called them is it clackers?
That's what hang on. It was a set of knockers, which was 2 balls. Yeah. Clacker. Yeah.
If you were being weak, you would just go like that, bump, bump, and you'd go bing, 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 bing. You go bing, bing, bing. But the experts would go like that, bump, 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 and then they'd go like that.
Yeah.
Aye. If they hit your hand, you were
bloody hurt.
Yeah. You were going to get a broken bone. I mean, just think about. It's an interesting subject. That think about toys that were technically dangerous. I mean. I used to get like chemistry sets and what have you there's Collins mentioned that as well, actually. Chemistry sets, and I'm sure you probably got, I don't know whether you got like fucking mercury, whatever, but you probably got some real dangerous things in these things. Do you remember the only person that ever bought one was my granny, and it's when she used to go to Blackpool for her holidays, and it was an emu, a little emu thing. It was like it looked like, it was almost like a pen. It had an emu's head, and underneath it had a little.
Did it tip like that?
And it would just go like that, and drink the water. But underneath it was actually mercury. It had mercury, and they were eventually banned because of. Do you remember these?
I had one of those along with Newton's Cradle and a load of other desktop stuff. When I got a job at Lloyd's Bank, people were buying me all sorts of stuff to go on my desk, and I said, "Look, I've got enough paperwork on my desk. I ain't got no space for bloody Newton's Cradle and emus and shit. I ain't even got a room for a pencil sharpener, let alone anything else." But I did used to like all those gadgets and gadget shops and stuff.
And obviously we've mentioned it before. You had these things, they were probably be banned now. Was the little picture of a bald man? It looked exactly like that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It didn't have any facial hair, and then it had a plastic screen in front of it
and a magnet thing.
Yeah, a little magnet. And all you did was drop it and make like a beard.
Yeah.
I'd love to know what these are actually made of.
I must admit, I've said before, we weren't very well off. And sometimes if we didn't go to a fireworks display or have our own fireworks at the back, my dad would buy an indoor fireworks set. They used to have these things called indoor fireworks, right? Biggest pile of shit you'll ever see in your life, right? You used to light. There was a piece of carbon that when you lit it, it turned into a snake. It just expanded. It's like having one of these cheap chemistry sets, but they were supposed to be called indoor fireworks. Awful.
So it wasn't actually like a firework. I always wondered how could you get an indoor firework?
The biggest thing that would be in there that would be close to a firework would be a cap that you lit up. You see what I mean? So most of the things would have a cap at the end or something, right? But the Catherine wheel would be like a string of caps going around that. So when you hit it, it just went, and you were supposed to use a drawing pin instead of a nail. Do you know what I mean? It was that sort of thing. Piece of shit.
Absolute shit.
Oh, awful.
And then, of course, good evening, Ego Chip. Obviously, you mentioned that caps. There was two types of caps. You had the little roll. It's like a toilet roll of caps.
Yeah.
And it was just paper. They were always red. And you could get a stone and hit them and bang them. And they came in this little. They kind of looked like the container it came in looked like a lid off a bottle of Beck's, a little kind of beer cap. There's a little kind of cardboard circular kind of container. But then you got the other ones which were the red plastic caps, which were like in a circle that you put in a gun.
Yeah, they looked like you actually looked like you'd put 6 bullets in because it was the the back end that you'd put in.
And it's because of these that I'm partially deaf in that year, because when I was about, I don't know what age I was, 12, something like that, whatever, my mate at the time thought it would be funny to fire one of these caps right against my ear. And it's permanently damaged my ear and the hearing in that ear.
I suppose they went on even further than that. Do you remember that they used to have these crystals that they used to put in a piece of paper, and you
and you threw them.
You threw them, and they went bang.
Or bangers, I think they were called. Yeah.
Right. My mate threw one of those at a bus. They thought it, and the bus driver stopped because he thought his tire had gone.
Really?
They were terrible because you just threw them like that. They went bang.
Aye. I think they were sold as like
you bought them in a sort of like a box that looked like a box of matches.
I do remember.
You know what I mean?
They were kind of sold. They were sold as like jokes, weren't they? Like you would get them. Yeah.
In fact, it's actually you could if you were talking about Viz the other day, they probably were those mail order stuff, where X-ray vision, which was basically a pair of glasses with bloody some cotton that had been stretched across or something like this. That when you put it on, it was supposed to give you X-ray vision. My ass, it was X-ray. I was going, I'm going to see some woman's boobs now, right? Yeah, right.
I did actually send off for the X-ray vision, and I think what it had, it was this. They were made of cardboard. There's a tiny little hole, and it was like a bird feather that was just across it, and you looked, and it just it made it kind of fuzzy looking. Yeah.
I think the most successful thing that ever sold from those things was something called sea monkeys. I think somebody told me.
Mention them.
Sea monkeys apparently was the most successful thing that you bought from there, because they were a real thing, and you put them in your fish tank and they ate plankton. So yeah. And
how did that actually work? Because they actually what would you? They're not an animal. What are they classed as? I mean, they are living. They are alive.
I think they get them from the coral, don't they? They are actually dried out like coral type stuff, and they are actually creatures, but they're dried out. But when they go into the water, they come back to life type.
Yeah, shrimp. Yeah, Colin's saying sea monkeys are called brines.
There you are. And apparently they love plankton. They will suck plankton out of your fish tank faster than anything.
How is that even possible? How the hell can you dry something out and then it comes to life again?
I don't know. But that's how they arrived. They arrived like crystals in a packet.
Yeah.
And it always used to amuse me because the advert showed a picture of some cartoon monkey with them waving like this, right? On his girlfriend. I'm going, there's actually going to be monkeys or something in my chat. I don't see, man. Bollocks were they? They were more like sea snails.
It's funny how we were easily amused. Do you remember? I can't remember what they were called. You remember they were like, what? It was like a piece of fishing line, like clear fishing line, and on the end of it, it looked like a kind of pipe cleaner, but it was like a snake, and you'd go like that, and you'd pull it, and the snake was like, oh, magical snake. You pull it, the invisible thread, and this thing would go. I can't remember what they called. I remember these.
That's part of the magic trick type stuff, isn't it? Yeah, it was almost like a boa, a feather boa on a piece of string. Yeah, I remember all of that.
Can you imagine giving that to? The only time you see these now is if you ever go to like a garden. If you go to a garden centre where you've got like overpriced scones and cups of tea and that, there's always a little TV showing the Magic Snake. It's like $6.99 for one.
Yeah. Yeah, but apparently Sea Monkeys is the most successful thing that anything that you bought from there. You know, there was X-ray glasses and all that sort of stuff, but apparently Sea Monkeys, that was the number one selling thing on that page.
That and like whoopee cushions, remember them, eh?
Oh yeah, all the whoopee, yeah, they were shit, weren't they? Because it was almost like if that was supposed to go underneath your cushion, then got out you, right? Because it was always too small. You needed something the size of a cushion, didn't you? That was flat that you'd put underneath it, and then it make it go. This thing was like a balloon. I mean, it made your cushions sit up by about 3 foot. You could tell it was there. It was ridiculous.
Do you remember? They were very, very short-lived. It wasn't Action Man. What the hell was it called? Action Man was like, I don't know, that size.
12 inch, yeah, 12.
It was like a mini Action Man, and it was about half the size. What the hell was it called? No G.I. Joe. Little Jim it was called? Little
Jim.
Google it. I'm going to have a look, actually.
All right,
Little Jim it was called.
Little Jim toy. All right.
Doll. Was it Little Jim? No, that's...
I got little Dutch babies come up, and God knows what that's all
about. No, it was something Jim, and it was Little Big Man. That's the one. Thank you, Mark. Little Big Man. Bloody hell.
Man.
You remember him? Little Big Man. Christ, that's just brought it all flooding back. Let's have a look. Little Big Man doll.
I know the film.
Yeah, there's a film.
That's just come up. Little Big Man.
Oh, bloody hell. Christ, that's just...
Oh, there's the pictures of it now, right.
Oh, God, Little Big Man. Jesus. They were little...
After I got my Steve Austin $6 million man toy, right? Every other action figure just seemed nothing to me, because it was like, oh, this man, he's got Barnix under this piece of rubber that's under his arm. He's got bionic arm, and you press the button on the back, and he lifts up a bloody engine, for fuck's sake, with an apple. I mean, I don't want your G.I. Joes. You can look through that little eyepiece as much as you want, because Steve Austin's got a bionic eye. So I was just going, sod you with your dolls. So the only other sort of action figure I ever had was either it came with Evel Knievel, obviously that came with the bike, or it'd be Stretch Armstrong. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I didn't have things like G.I. Joe and Action, Little Big Man, and all of that sort of stuff.
It's funny.
If it didn't come with a big fuck-off spaceship or something, and it came with the little figures, then I never bought figures again.
Yeah, it's interesting when you think about Stretch Armstrong. Once you stretched it like twice, then that was it. It's like, what am I going to do with this?
Yes,
that's fucking pointless.
It's just got syrup in it. That's basically. And one year, I asked for Stretch Armstrong. I'll tell you what, the first year I wanted Stretch Armstrong.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks for reminding me, by the way. Mark's got to head off. Cheers, buddy.
See you, Mark. Yeah, I didn't get Stretch Armstrong. My granny bought me the Green Monster one. The monster one that was basically the companion to Stretch Armstrong. I said, where's Stretch Armstrong? I've got this green bloody monster thing. Well, it's the same thing, isn't it? No, he's green. Look, for a start. What's that? Not, So
see, if I had asked for that, I would have got that green thing, because obviously, as you know, I wanted Subbuteo football. My mum and dad bought me Subbuteo.
No.
I wanted Skeletrix. My mum and dad bought me a train set. So if I had asked for Stretch Armstrong, they would have bought me the Green Monster thing as well.
Yeah.
Do you remember there was these little probably about the same size as Action Man, and they were like space aliens, and the head was like see-through, and it'd have like this kind of jelly kind of brain thing in it.
Oh, right. Well, there's I tell you what, there's lots of, believe it or not, there's lots of toys like that. Right. I don't remember that exact one, but I had things like the Living Brain. I remember buying Silly Putty. I used to buy slime. You used to buy slime in a bucket, and you used to put your hand in it, and you used to make fart noises. You go, like this, just to annoy your mum and dad. You go, hey, listen to this. Look, it sounds like a fart. Look.
And then what would happen is you'd forget to put the lid on it, and then when you get back for school the following day, it all dried up and crystallised.
And silly putty was the worst because it looked like really clean and it was grey, right? But as soon as it turned around and said, "Oh, if you get a newspaper and you slam it down, it will actually copy the whole newspaper right on it, right?" Yeah, and it makes the bloody stuff black. You'll have black all over your hands and everything, look, because it's all bloody got onto that silly putty stuff. So now you've ruined it because it's all shit now. It's got full of flipping ink all in it. You know, so don't ever do that. Don't ever make a copy. It's shit.
What was silly putty? What was the point of silly putty? Was it just like plasticine?
It stretched, and the other thing is that it was like a rubber ball. You could bounce it because it was. You know what I mean? So, in some ways, I think what mums and dads thought was, well, we can get in one of them rubber balls, but we can get in this silly putty stuff. Apparently, it does more than just that. So he can roll it up, and he can and it's like a rubber ball. So basically, we've got him. A rubber ball, plus he can stretch it and do all this other stuff with its magic, you know. Of course, it was twice as expensive. I mean, it came in an egg. I remember it came in an egg.
I remember that, yeah.
You know, it cost like £1.50 or something. You could buy these rubber balls for about 15 pence. You know, I don't know what the big problem was, but, you know. But those rubber balls, I remember those because you used to bang them against the walls. And I tell you what, they were so small, you'd go, oh, I can't get that. I've got to run now about 6 miles behind me, look, to go and get that thing. Look.
Even think about it. I mean, all the toys. I mean, the only time we got toys, proper toys, was at Christmas or birthdays. That was the only time I ever got toys. But every now and again, your granny would give you £1. She would slip you £1. Don't tell your mum. And she would put it in your hand and she would, don't tell your mum. And I was always taught to like refuse. No, I can't take it. But you'd get £1 and you would go to like the local newsagent and you would buy some kind of toy like that. Yeah, you'd get silly putty, whatever. Or we were talking about that before, where you talk about fucking budget games. Was a painting set, and all it was you painted water on it and it produced colour.
Oh, like it had the little dots in, so that when you put the water, you're not supposed to see these dots, were you? You know, but you obviously you could see it. Say that's red behind there. Look, I can tell that's red when you put water over it. Look, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Remember another thing that I used to love, absolutely loved, and you don't see people with them anymore, or see kids, is a bouncy ball. You got the clear bouncy ball. And inside it was like clear. Inside it was like a marble that had like the plastic.
Yeah,
plastic.
Like I said, you bought these rubber balls. Some of them were clear. It looked like it had some sort of like plastic, sort of like an S or something. Like a marble would have. You know. Even I used to love marble. I used to love marbles as well. You know.
Oh, I know. But like the bouncy ball, you'd go like that, boom, and it would fucking go about 50 feet.
I told you, I chucked it at the wall, and you'd go, oh, it's going to hit the ground, it's going to go like that, and it's going to go, and I'm going to go, yeah, like that. And it's going to go, it goes about 60 foot behind you, and you'd be running behind, you'd spend half the time just running after the damn thing. So if somebody turned around and said, yeah, let's go and play football with it, you say, get stuffed.
Well, Colin's saying that you can still very much get generic bouncy balls. That's good to know. Yeah. Colin Thompson's mentioning the old Etch-a-Sketch. I think some of these toys, they looked more interesting than they actually were in reality. And I think Etch-a-Sketch was one of them, because you quickly realised that all you could do is draw squares, and that was about all you could do with it.
Well, I wanted an Etch-a-Sketch, and I didn't, because like I said, we couldn't afford it, right? It was a bloody expensive toy back then, Etch-a-Sketch was. And what I got, no word of a lie, it was one of these ones where it's some sort of I don't know what, like a mechanical arm or something, right? You put a pen at one end, you put a pen at the other, you draw something small, it went right on the left-hand side, right? Right. That's because that was like £2.50 and Etch-a-Sketch was like £13.50. So it's like I got Spirograph because that's cheap, you see, and if we couldn't afford Spirograph, we'd get felt things, you know what I mean?
What's it felt?
We couldn't afford Lego, so we had sticker bricks or something. There was always some equivalent that my mum got away with getting it, right? It was like, no, I wanted Lego. What you got me sticker brick for? So that's shit. I want Meccano. I don't want this other shit that you just bought me. I want Meccano. What don't you understand what Meccano is?
And your mum and dad's response was, "It's just the same."
It's like
when they bought me my bloody Texas TI 1994A. I wanted a Spectrum. Yeah. Well, this is a better one. It looks like it's got a nice keyboard. Yeah.
I must admit, I remember my friend got this weird painting set where if you put water on it, it expanded like foam. Right? Did you remember that? Where it was like a 3D picture type thing. There was a flat picture. You put water in it, sort of expanded like foam. It sort of like it sort of rose like baking stuff. That was what painting by numbers was another one that we got as well. We got painting by numbers sets.
Even I remember a thing, and it was kind of like Spirograph.
Yeah,
it was, but you had I remember the one my dad bought me. I think it was Scooby Doo, or was it Magic Roundabout? I can't remember. And it was just a circular thing, and it had little bits cut out, and you put your pencil in, and you turned it around, and then you put the pencil into each individual slot and turned it around, and what it did was magically draw a picture of Scooby Doo.
Oh right, yeah. So in other words, they were purposely plastic.
Yeah, they were
cut plastic version.
Yeah, and all you did was turn it around in a circle, and it would kind of draw. I can't remember what the hell they were called.
Oh, the other thing that my dad used to love, and said, "Look, I'm going to give you some nails, and I'm going to give you a piece of wood, and I'm going to give you some string, and I'm going to show you how straight things can become curved." And I'd be going, "Oh yeah, well, what's this thing that he's doing?" It's that old trick of putting the nails around the outside. You went to each end like that, like this, and it went like that.
Very
suddenly you had all these lovely lines that went like.
Quite popular in the 70s. People would have them on their living room wall.
Yeah. My dad was always doing that. He said, look, I've educated you there. Look, see, you can make a curve out of a straight line. And I'm going, yeah, all right, yeah, thanks, Dad. Yeah.
Do you remember there was a I mean, this is a thing I think computers have obviously taken over. Before video games, another toy that you used to see all the time, you had things where I don't know, it'd be like cookie maker, and you stupidly as a child thought, if I get one of these, I can make infinite cookies. No, you got this little shitty kind of battery operated oven, and it came with one sachet of the biscuit.
Yeah.
And then once that was finished, that was it. You'd never ever be able to buy it ever again.
Yeah. My sister bought that stuff, and she'd make them, and then she'd go, right, biscuits time, and I'd be going, I got to eat this. It's like cardboard. Bloody hell's this stuff. And I remember she got one year, she was really disappointed. She got Miss World. It's rolling. It was
the head.
Right. It was a head, right?
Yeah.
You press it and you pulled its hair, and its hair came out, right? So of course, what did my sister do? I don't like long hair, I'll make short hair, right? So she cut the hair off, right? Make it short. Well, that was it. Stuffed. You can't. That doll was just stuck now with short hair. You can't put any more hair in it. You couldn't buy hair from the shop and replenish the hair. That was it. So I said, well, you were stupid then, weren't you? Because you're cutting that off. But yeah, she had one of them. She had one of them cookers. It was bloody awful.
I remember a pal of mine's had a thing, and I can specifically remember the name. It was called is it Linko? Linko or something, or LinkedIn. Not LinkedIn, fucking nuts. Linky, something like that. And what it was little molds, and you had this white kind of powder, and you mixed it with water, and you poured it in, and what it would do was make little bricks.
All right.
And then you could then build little houses and buildings. But again, the problem with it was, once you'd ran out of the powder, that was it.
Yeah. How come everything that you bought had something that would run out?
Aye.
Right. It was bad enough that my mum and dad had to fork out for a battery plant for half the things that we wanted for Christmas, right? I still don't know why they just didn't buy one of them power transformers and have it for 15 toys, right? Right, because you got the foot with the 4 end.
Because they always took the budget option. It's like, well, when they bought you Astro Wars, the system where it says for an extra £5.99 you can get the grandstand power adapter, and my mum and dad were like, no, we'll just take the 99 batteries.
Yeah. By the time you get to Christmas and you've got 2 kids, it's just like you might as well have bought the battery plant, right? Because they must have bought, like 20 AAs and like the C cell ones. They must have bought no end of the C cell ones, the huge, big ones, right? The square ones were the most expensive, right?
They were for torches.
The C cell ones were huge. And like I said, I'd play Astro Wars, and within 2 hours the batteries would be dead. I'd be going, oh.
And then what you would do is, when your dad wasn't looking, you would go and take the batteries out of his radio. And you'd be like, Alan, come here. Where's my batteries? I've put them back in, and they're like dead. I mean, battery technology must have been shit back in the 70s.
That reminds me, my $6 million man had a NASA outfit that you could buy for it, and this thing had a crystal radio backpack. Do you remember crystal radios, right?
Yeah.
You pulled out this piece of like wire out this backpack, and you stuck it to a metal railing or something, right? You put your earpiece in there, and you could pick up Radio 1. Yeah, bollocks, could you, right? You could pick up something, but it was like Radio Luxembourg or something at best. You know what I mean? It was like long wave radio, and it was a bit but it was like crystal radio, yeah.
See, when you think of some of the technology, I mean, even things like I'm old enough to remember the original Action Man. Rather than having the gripping hands like that, like that, his hand was kind of like that, and it was solid plastic. And
so that you bought specific type weapons that he could put into his hand rather than the rubber ones that you could adapt. Yeah,
because these rubber hands, they would grip anything. But you obviously had the thing you pulled out of the back, and I can't even. What were the name? What were the phrases that they used to say?
Oh yeah, over the top, men, and all this sort of stuff.
Well, that's Beachhead 2 you're thinking of. I'm trying to bloody remember.
No, but these had little discs. And
little miniature discs.
And they basically were like 4-second samples. And it was things like medic and all of this sort of stuff. It was all about it was all commando type phrases that you would say to an army thing. And you could buy the records and put them in it. Yeah.
I would love to know it.
Techmoan did a whole episode of them.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
I'll need to watch that. I can't remember for the life of me what they said. Just you're talking about $6 million, man. When you were a kid and you had your Action Man and you had your $6 million man, I had the Muhammad Ali doll as well.
Oh, right.
You always had the goodies and you always had the baddies. For whatever reason, the Action Men were always the baddies.
Yeah,
they were always the ones that got a doing or.
They had the camouflage jackets on where you could hide them and go, yeah, look, Steve Rogers, look, with his bionic eye, can see him. Look, there he is. Look, the little shit, he's over there. Look. Yeah, I remember all of those sort of games.
And what we used to do was we'd get a wee plank of wood, like a little trampoline, and we would put Action Man on there. And they would stamp, boom, and he would go fucking flying up there.
I do remember we had things like Bucket of Soldiers and all this sort of stuff. Those bloody little plastic little soldiers. At the end, they were all just coloured green,
Well, I mean, Toy Story had them off the little green, and they had the little bits that went where they'd obviously been joined up and they hadn't quite cut it properly.
Yeah, they had a little plinth that they were always on. And then there was the line where they cut it off from the mold, you know, where it didn't cut it off. Yeah, there was the hanging monkeys as well, where they all interlocked with each other.
That was in Toy Story. I don't remember hanging monkeys. Was that an American
they
thing?
were bigger. They were bigger in the States than here, just like Mr. Potato Head was much bigger over there. But we did have them because we used to have them at play school.
Aye, I do. Yeah.
Because we used to do things like play. We used to do play shop to learn what change was. You know, like what a 10p piece was and what a 5. I mean, they used to have plastic bananas, and then you used to have a shopping thing, and you go, "Oh, right, so a banana's 5 pence, a ring 5 pence in, yeah, and you take the money and give it the." So we learnt all of that, and add your milk with the straw and all of that sort of stuff. But we used to have a ton of toys, and that's where stickle bricks and everything all came in. You know, there was a ton of that.
Yeah. Do you remember? What the hell was I going to say? Fuck! My brain's gone completely blank. But I've just thought of something else. Probably goes for a song now. I think it was by Dinky Toys, and it was the Pink Panther car, and it had this plastic thing, and you pulled it. And it was like any heavy wheel that would turn and shoot off. Yeah,
it's the same. It's a ripcord.
Basically,
and it wrapped round, and then when you pulled it, it spanned the wheel. The Pink Panther car, and it wasn't supposed to have that because the Pink Panther car didn't have a big wheel at the back. It was actually a pink car, and he came out the side that had gull wings, and there was a little lad that sat in the front, you know, that didn't even have didn't even have a windscreen. The bloody stupid sod. But yeah, I do remember it. It was a ripcord type thing. There was a number of toys that had that ripcord. By the way, you know, we've spent 50 minutes talking about Steve's question, and God out you if you've got any more than 2 questions. You've spent 45 minutes on Steve. You spent 5 minutes on Colin, Paul Sod. Right?
Yeah, what we're talking about, dangerous toys. Yeah, I think we've pretty much. Just before we move on from the toys, do you remember the toy? I can't remember what it was called again. It was probably like £2 or something. And it looked, the best way to describe it was a washing machine pipe. It was like a pipe, and it had like it looked like the Doctor Who,
right.
It was a piece of pipe, plastic pipe, and it was usually purple or pink. And you went like that, and you waved it around your head and made a noise. Remember them?
It does.
A whooshing pipe.
I think we had one of those at the same time as we had a kaleidoscope. I had a kaleidoscope. Do you remember kaleidoscopes?
Yeah.
Like this. All it was just crystals with mirrors. I think we did have one of them whooshy things.
Can't remember what they were called. Yeah, Colin said
it's called a whooshing pipe. Okay.
Yeah, I can't remember.
We didn't have everything, but we had a lot of the common stuff. You know what I mean? It was
the final toy thing I was going to talk about. You know how when you're on YouTube, you end up going down you go down a rabbit hole and you're watching some bizarre things. I've been watching a few videos of people solving the Rubik's Cube. Have a guess what the quickest time to solve a Rubik's Cube is. Have a guess. What do you think?
Well, I guess, don't know, 6.5 seconds?
3.08.
Oh,
and they said that in 1982, that's when 1982 is when they first recorded the world record, and it was like 20 odd seconds. There's a wee, I don't know if it's Japanese or Chinese, I'm not ever, but this wee kid, there's one guy apparently solved it in 4.42, which Colin Hink's mentioning.
Yeah.
And there was no proof that he'd actually done it, even though people had said, oh yeah, we saw it. There was no video evidence that he'd actually done it. And what they said was, even if you have a cube that is effectively set up so that the least number of turns to solve it, it says it wouldn't be. They reckoned that I think 4 rotations per second was about the maximum. That's as fast as somebody can possibly turn it. And this little guy that done it in 3.08 seconds, whatever it was, he actually made an arse of it at one point. And they reckon if you watch the video, at the end of it, he's like, hey, and he's like, oh, damn. And he's pissed off because he should have got under 3 seconds. But it's just like, and I think he rotates it like 12 times in a second.
Yeah.
It's just
It is mind blowing because I remember all the books how to solve the Rubik's Cube, and they were little pamphlet books, and I was going, how can you write a book that's about 15 pages long and tell you how to fix this bloody Rubik's Cube thing, right? But every time I watched Swap Shop or somebody with a Rubik's Cube, there was these people, and they were doing it in one hand. I went, how the hell did they were going like this? And it was like, what? Right? I try and turn it, and it traps in the corner. I'm going, I must have the cheap Rubik Cube, I must have the non-official one, because the proper official one must be able to was so glidey you could do it in one hand or something. Because I went like that, and it would get caught, and
what people used to do is they'd put Vaseline in it, and it would like. But you've probably seen the videos of somebody juggling 4 Rubik's cubes, and they're actually solving it in the air.
Sodom. That's all I gotta say. Bastard. You want to talk about show-offs and ego and that? Yeah, juggling Rubik's cubes, and you can solve all 4 while it's being chucked up in the air. That's a bloody show-off. Yeah.
I would have been just chuffed to actually bloody solve the thing. I think the best I got was. I think I got 3 sides once. I think that was about my best. That was about it.
Oh, I could always do the top ring, the middle ring, and I got around about 4 corners of the bottom, because you worked it out in the end that it's very easy to do the top and the sides, and then in the middle it was just a matter of you needed to move it round the opposite side, swing it round, and then push it back, and it would get the middle. But it was really, if you didn't get the 4 corners of the bottom in the last part, then you were stuffed, because you'd have to go back to the beginning. So you had to really get the 4 corners at the same time as doing the middle. Somebody told me that. I could do definitely the top line and the middle line, and usually I've got about 3 colours of the bottom underneath.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's easier just to pull the bloody stickers off. So that's all I've got to say about it.
Or take it to bits. You could take the thing to bits.
Yeah, because you took it to the corner, and you just cornered off. You went, it slides out now.
Colin Craig Flanagan's actually asked quite a good question here. He's been quite specific. If you could go back to 1984,
oh Christ,
how would you change the 8-bit scene? Would there be anything that you would change in the scene back in 1984? Well, maybe not be quite so specific with 1984, but is there any one thing? I mean, I think, was it you or somebody else asked me a question? Was there anything you would change with the Commodore 64? And I said, yeah, but they made it faster, made the processor faster.
And I'll tell you what, it was probably the best answer, because speed was the only thing, really, I think that the 64 was sadly lacking, really. I could do with, I didn't care about blocky graphics. The sound was brilliant. It's just, it was incredibly slow for vectors and anything that it needed to do that was complex. So yeah, speed, CPU, that clock needed to be faster.
I've got a video that I'm going to be putting out, and it's somebody, and it's quite I think it was maybe about 10-year-olds. Somebody has actually written Ghostbusters in BASIC for the Commodore 64, and I was playing it, and it's like you can tell it's Ghostbusters, but it's written in BASIC.
Wow. Crying out loud.
And when if you do run stop and then type list, it goes on for like 5 minutes. I mean,
oh yeah, I bet.
I would hate to have typed that bloody thing in, but yeah, insane. Anyway, Raisin Gan 84. Hi, Alan, been sub for a while. Blah 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 blah. As a question, have you ever been involved in the import scene? I got into it by accident, really, as my Mega Drive was bought for me by my parents.
Oh, right.
My dad's friend, who owned a Sega rental shop, and the console turned out to be an Asian one that played both PAL and NTS. So I was able to play like Sonic 3, blah, 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 blah. Was importing something you ever really got into?
Not until I got a Neo Geo in the 90s. But my friends in 86, he lived in a village that was very close to here. He bought a PC Engine, and he did import his games because he got his. I think the console was a British, imported one, but when it was the games, his dad would basically send off for them, rather than go wait until some British supplier did it. He actually ordered them from China or whatever.
I remember reading like computer and video games, and then you had like Mean Machines that came out a bit later on.
Yeah.
And I used to be so jealous when they would have, like the PC Engine. I mean, the PC Engine did it not come out in like when did it come out? It came out like mid
like 86, 87, somewhere around there.
I mean, can you imagine playing like R-Type on your Commodore 64, and then your mate's got the not the Neo Geo.
Like I said, I used to take my A1000 round to this family house. Like I've mentioned it a lot of times before. I really wanted to go out with this girl, and we set up a computer club, and really, I was supposed to be going around there to set up the computer club with her brother, but actually, I really fancied her, and I wanted to.
I remember you tell me that story.
And anyway, I used to take my A1000 round, but these two, you know full well that there's always a family that's richer than anybody else, right? And their dad owned a BMW he owned a BMW Oxford, the actual garage that sold BMWs in Oxford, right? His surname was Dunn. Yeah, Jeremy Dunn. His name was Jeremy. Yeah. So he had a PC Engine, and they brought that round. So I brought my A1000 round, and said, Defender of the Crown, come and have a look at this. Look, Marble Madness, all that. PC Engine R-Type, bastards. You're like this, do you know what I mean? Because it was like, yeah. It is good, yeah, Jeremy. Yeah, Slaughterhouse, yeah, it's a good game. Yeah. I like my A1000. Yeah, I'll be over here. I'll be Robin Hood. Yeah. It was like that, really. We settled down to the fact that mine does more complex stuff, but if you wanted to play the arcadey stuff, come over and play with it.
And let's be honest, that's what you wanted to do. You wanted to play R-Type. You wanted to play, Final Fight and all these perfect bloody conversions. But no, I did own a SNES for a short period of time, but I was never. I just couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to buy like an import machine. But there were, you would get like Mean Machines or whatever, and they would do a review like Street Fighter 2 in the SNES, and it was like, wow, this is like the best game ever. And it was like 90 quid or something in import.
If you think about it, the SNES, when I bought a SNES, that was the 90s. Yeah, 89, 90.
Yeah.
The PC Engine is like 86, 87. The NES, none of my friends, I never even saw an NES.
That was the same.
Never saw one.
Yeah.
PC Engine that you had to import, saw one of them. It's weird. It's like really weird that.
The closest I came to an NES was one of my mates knew somebody that owned an NES. That was the closest I got to it. He knew somebody who had one.
So I just find it really strange that something that was further away, I saw an NES that there's something that you could actually buy in this country. I never saw. You know what I mean? So it's really weird.
It's weird. I mean, when you consider, I mean, anybody that's in the stream just now, did any of you guys know anybody that had an NES back in the day? I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about back in whenever the NES came out. I don't know. I think I've got vague memories of like seeing an NES in a shop, but anytime I looked at it, I remember looking at a game thinking that doesn't look any better than my Commodore 64. So I really didn't. And then it's like,
that's not right, isn't it?
The game was like 40. Well, I don't know what the games were. Maybe 30 quid. I could get one for
$7.99. Expensive cartridges, Like they were in the PC Engine, it was those Hue cards, weren't they? They called them Hue cards.
Yeah.
But all I was getting at is that when the SNES came out, the Mega Drive, I was in my 20s. So yeah, I could actually afford it because I was working for Lloyd's Bank. Yeah, I was on an all right wage, really, to be quite honest. Wouldn't have been able to have bought it 86, 87, 88 because I was on a YTS, and then I didn't get the job in the YTS, and then I was working in a supermarket, stacking shelves and stuff. I was brassic. It was only me getting a job at Lloyd's Bank that suddenly I was able to get some money up together.
Yeah.
And by that point, the Mega Drive had just come out, the 89, 90. So the SNES was then, and that. So
when you think about it, I mean, it was all driven by money. I mean, like £100. Like I always wanted. Well, how much was it? How much was the 26 or the Atari VCS? Because that's what you called it. Was it £99 or was it £199?
Oh, it was but my dad bought mine, and it was £129.99 when he.
It might have came down. It might have came down to like. I always remember. I've got vivid memories of.
Take it like this. We got ours in '78.
Yeah, which is pretty much when it came out. I think. Yeah.
Possibly. I thought it was a 77 machine. I think we got because it was. Remember, it was our lad who was down the street. Their dad got a prototype one. They got the first one in the street. You know what I mean? And I would have to wait until the Christmas or the birthday or whatever it was of me seeing this thing before I got a sniff of it. Right? And he had it in the summer. We were playing it in the summer holidays. We were playing Combat and Yar's Revenge.
So, and you paid up 120 for it at that point.
I think when we got it, it was like it was either 149.99 or 129.99. I think it probably started off at 199 over here. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a 200 quid thing.
Yeah.
Because when people that were seriously buying that, Curry's and Dixon's, which were the two electrical stores that we had in ours, they had ColecoVisions and Intellivisions in the window, right? With Lock and Chase. Lock and Chase would be playing, and I'd be going, "Oh, I want to play Lock and Chase. Look at that, right?" They were all 149. I'm pretty sure they were like all. It was like 150 quid was the sweet spot.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot now, but £100 was like a lot. I mean, it was probably the equivalent of about maybe £500, £600 now.
I'm pretty sure. I bet you any money, Grandstand Pong must have cost my dad £49.99 or something, 50 quid.
Yeah. So, when you think back to like, an NES, whatever, it was probably about 150 quid, which was a hell of a lot of money. And I bet
you any money that machine was 199 when it first came out. And it dropped to 150, obviously, because what I think it was it Mastertronic that had the distribution rights to sell that thing over here.
Might be right, actually. Aye, I think
because they had the cartridge. They wanted to sell the cartridges or something, didn't
that's
they?
Right. Yeah.
I think that's right.
I mean, a game, like I say, a game would have been probably 30 quid back then, which would be the equivalent of about
29.99. But then again, my VIC-20 computer, I could only buy cartridge games because I couldn't afford the tape player because the tape player was 50 quid.
Yeah.
The tape player was 50 quid. A cartridge was $29.99 or $19.99. So, of course, my dad would buy me Omega Race, wouldn't he, on cartridge or Jelly Monsters or whatever it was, because he'd go, well, you got a game and I've saved myself 30 quid, right? But when he didn't actually think, well, yeah, but then if you'd have got a tape, you'd have been buying the games at $6.99, you daft sod. Right? So, of course, I had to wait until my birthdays and all that, and the cartridges that I got, and if I typed in a game, I couldn't save it anywhere. I had to keep the bloody machine on, otherwise, So, for 6 months of my life, I typed in games, never turned the damn thing off. I tell you what, our electricity bill must have been bloody astronomical. You know what I mean? You should have bought a tape player, Dad. That's what I was trying to say. Should have bought a tape player.
I remember Lacosa telling me a long time ago that I think his mum and dad bought him his Commodore 64. They didn't buy him a tape. He just got the computer. That was it. He didn't have a tape deck for quite a while when he had to just amuse himself with typing in little programs, and then he was switching it off, and it was gone.
Yeah, we just the disk drive was more expensive than the bloody machine. The tape deck was 50 quid, the data set, and at the end of the day, depending on when you bought it, the machine was like $299 or $199 or $150. Depending on when you bought it. We bought it when it was $299. So that's when I think we got it for. So buying the tape deck was another 50 quid. There was no packing bundles where you bought it with the data set and got it cheaper.
Yeah.
So of course, that's
and then if you wanted
the disk drive, Jesus.
I was going to say that was more expensive than the bloody computer.
Yeah, weighed a ton and all. You try carrying that around with the bloody computer as well and the power brick. Yeah. Jesus.
Just thinking, we didn't actually answer Craig's question. If you could go back to 1984, how would you change the 8-bit?
Well, I did think you'd moved on.
Yeah, the speed. Yeah, the speed of it. Well, that was obviously that was.
If there was something that I could change about 8-bit, was it 8-bit in the 1984 or something like that?
No, just what would you change in 8-bit scene? Is there anything that you would?
Yeah, so just the 8-bit scene. I would have said that. He said 84, didn't he? I tell you what, I think what would have really have kicked off things quicker, right, is if budget games from Mastertronic came out 2 years earlier, because I think you'd have made a killing. Because cartridges was the only way, right? You bought a VIC-20. I was just like, if I was to talk about that tape player, it was 50 quid, right? So games were still $6.99 on the Spectrum, and until Mastertronic came along and brought out the $1.99 range, I think, bringing out budget games 2 years before it actually happened would have been how I would have changed the scene. We really, really needed to drop the price of that stuff, and I think we'd have kickstarted the computer industry over here that little bit faster. It was still super fast. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we had Eugene Evans doing stuff on the VIC-20 in 1981 and 82, with Imagine and all of that sort of stuff. But can you imagine if their games came out and you could buy them for $1.99?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think everybody would have been in their bedroom trying to code a game.
Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, I was working full. I had a full-time job when I got my Commodore 64. So, after about a year. So I was able to afford to buy games. But, I suppose when you think about it, budget games probably did. I'm not saying they saved the industry, but they certainly kept it buoyant, because most kids, they'd get £2 for their pocket money, and it was either they bought a Codemasters game or whatever, and
Because he did say change the scene. So I'm thinking that's what I would have done to change the scene. I would have kickstarted things a little bit faster by bringing out budget games a couple of years faster than we did, because I think when that happened, that's when there was just tons and tons of tapes just everywhere. I mean, there was 50 games coming out.
I was going to say it would have been better if there hadn't been such a plethora of computers, because in the early 80s there was about 40 different computers you could buy.
Oh yeah.
But I think, I mean, look at it now. We're in this situation where PlayStation 5, Xbox.
There's that home computer's top trump set, and there's the gaming console's top trump set. Yeah, the amount. I mean, you said it yourself. One of your favorite things that you can remember was having that bi-weekly magazine that told you about all the computers and what they could do. There was Oryx, there was Memorex, there was
something
Memotech. Sorry, Memotech.
There was something really special about. I don't know. You'd go to somebody's house, and I remember going to a mate's house, and he had a BBC, and I'd never seen a BBC before. I was like, oh, it's great. Or you'd go to some. I remember going to a mate's house. He stole my mate, and he had an Electron. He also had an Oryx. So it was just nowadays. Every system's the same. The PlayStation 5 is identical to the PC. It's identical to the Xbox. It's just it's boring. But having all these different systems was great.
It's much like the car industry, I think, Alan, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ever since the Ford Sierra came out, every car looks the same.
Looks the same. You're right.
Back then, all the computers looked different. You had a Spectrum that looked like that, and a Commodore that was looking like that. You had a BBC one that looked like that. The Memorex was made out of blushed black aluminium. There was, you had the Ford M5 that you'd got. The Oryx even came out with a chiclet keyboard one, or a little Like it looked like Tic Tacs had been bloody placed on the bloody thing. You know, yeah, it was wild time. Wild time.
It was magical going into it was John Menzies up in Scotland, probably like W. Smith, going into W. Smith or whatever, and you've got about 10 different computers. Oh, there's a Dragon 32 running Manic Miner, and there's the bloody Atari running, I don't know, Summer Games or Bruce Lee, and you would just look at them and you go, oh, look at that, oh, there's a VIC-20, oh, look at that, oh, there's a Spectrum, what's that playing? That's playing, I don't know, whatever, School Days or something, but yeah, I think you're right. I think bringing out budget games 2 years earlier would have been the way to go.
Well, I wouldn't give up anything that ever happened in 1984, 85, 83, 82. I wouldn't change a thing. I'm just saying things would have just taken off a bit quicker, that's all. Maybe it would have saved the American market because it was 84 was the crash, 83, 84. Everything was cartridge. Everything was cartridge or discs. Everything was bloody expensive. Just think if tapes had taken off over there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know what I mean? You're buying what? What you mean? I can come into this store and I can have this game and it's going to cost me $3 instead of $19.99. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Do you see what I mean? I think things would have stabilized. Do you know what I mean? But it never happened. Of course, we were lucky. I think that Mastertronic sort of like point probably saved an awful lot of stuff because everybody that was going to Mastertronic and selling crappy games, like Tic-Tac-Toe for $1.99 and all sorts of shit. You know what I mean? They didn't care. $1.99. That's the price of, that you'd buy a bag of chips and a bus ride home, bus ride to get home. In fact, actually, if I wanted to buy a big budget game, I said, I'm going to buy a big budget game today and I'm going to walk home, right? Because it's the only way I can afford it, right? Otherwise, I've got to buy a couple of cheap games and then I can get a bus ride, right? So I'm going to choose, do I walk home or do I get the bus? Oh, walk home and have this one, yay! And I walked up the hill and all that. I did that because I wanted the big stuff. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. Well, talking about Mastertronic there, I mean, the early Mastertronic games, I mean, fair play to them. They invented the budget market as far as I was concerned. Yeah. But I mean, the first batch of Mastertronic games were fucking awful.
Shit.
They really were. I mean, Bionic Granny, BMX.
Until I saw a recent video, because I haven't got that Mastertronic book, that lovely Mastertronic book, which, by the way, I've heard is fantastic. Right, there is this book that's lists all the Mastertronic games, and I think Paul E. Moz has actually done lots of reviews that were inside that one.
All right.
I forgot that the VIC-20 had games by Mastertronic in the first batch that came out. Seb did a video a couple of days ago that I watched, and the number one selling game out of the first 20 games that came out was a VIC-20 game.
Is that right? Yeah.
Didn't know that. And who'd have thought that? Because in 1984, the VIC-20 was out. I mean, people were buying Commodore 64s and playing Spectrums. The VIC-20 was dead, right? But this one little VIC-20 game came out and sold more than all the other ones, all the darts and all the stuff that was Bionic Granny.
Yeah.
There you are, a little VIC-20 game. Amazing.
What was it you? I was listening to I can't remember if it was one of your videos. I was listening to it in the car, and the color-coded budget games. Now, what was the Amstrad yellow or red? The Commodore 64 was blue.
I think because
yellow, blue, and red.
It was yellow. Yeah, there was yellow, blue, red.
English, maybe green was like Atari or something.
Green, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what colour was what.
And the reason I remember this now is because we used to put little. Do you remember you used to buy plastic molded tape holders that you used to put the screws into the wall, and you'd have something like 10, 20, like 30, and they interlocked, right?
Yeah.
You slid them on if you wanted more. Well, that's where all my games were. They were all little, like tapes from Mastertronics, and they all went into that. And then you hated it because you'd buy a big box one and it couldn't go anywhere in these. It wouldn't fit in anywhere, right? You had to plonk it on the top or something, or have a special shelf for those. But yeah, that brings back memories as well.
God forbid you bought a game by Is It Beyond, and it was like a big massive cardboard. It was huge. It was a big cardboard box which just didn't fit in anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing times though.
The Spectrum was yellow. Yeah, I think the Amstrad was red, and I think the Commodore 64 was blue.
I'm pretty sure the Commodore 64 was blue.
Yeah. Anyway, great stuff, right? And finally, Colin Gregory, question for you, mate. The Sid chip, who plays it better, Ben Dalglish, Rob Hubbard, or David Whittaker? I'll answer that first. I'm going to rule out David Whittaker. I'm not a fan of David Whittaker's tunes at all. I know I'm in the minority there. His style I didn't really get on with it. It was very plinky plonky, fast stuff. I mean, Ben Dalglish wrote some astonishing stuff. I mean, your Last Ninja is just a masterpiece. I mean, but for me, it's got to be Rob Hubbard.
Yeah,
every day of the week. But Ben Dalglish is like close second, as is Martin Galway. But I never really rated Dave Whittaker. That was just my opinion.
It's very easy for me, and it's not because I'm biased and I've met Rob and all of that sort of stuff, and I've got the book and all of that sort of stuff. It's like where was your first introduction to something that you went wow to, right? And it was Rob Hubbard, I mean, David Whittaker's and that, they might have all been around. But Zap magazine was so important to me that even in that very first magazine, they were talking about this music guy, and and this sounds like an orchestra and all of this sort of stuff, right? And I was buying games, and I was buying them purposely to listen to this guy play music. Who gives a shit about the game? I was going to be like that. I can't remember ever purposely buying a game to listen to David Whittaker, even though he did some great stuff. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take anything away. Martin Galway, all of that, they all did fantastic stuff, and I bought their stuff for different reasons. But Rob Hubbard was the one that I was first went wow about. Yeah. And then I purposely looked in the magazine to find out what game he had done this month as a tune, and I went out and bought it, right? And I didn't do that. I didn't do that for Glider Rider or anything else. Do you see what I'm talking about? That's
the one that springs to mind. Glider Rider. I find it annoying. I don't like it, but
I mean, I loved the music to Confusion, and that was probably one of the first things that I ever bought. But the thing that blew me away, the very first one, it probably was Thing on a Spring. The one I remember putting in and going, wow, this thing. I have never heard anything like it in my life.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Thing in a Spring, but...
No, the game's shite.
Sid music was kind of here, and then suddenly Thing in a Spring went... It was like, fucking hell. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just, how can this... I remember reading the Zap review, and they just went on about, it said it's like having a synthesizer. It was just absolutely incredible. Yeah. And of course, it only got better and better after that.
So I'm not taking anything away from all the others. It's just like, I put it to that thing about Bond, because the very first Bond film I probably saw was Roger Moore, and it's probably why I went, oh, Roger Moore's Bond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? Even though Sean Connery is the first one, and everybody goes, oh, yeah, he's the best Bond and all that. You tend to be the one that you grew up with.
Of course it is. Yeah.
To me, Ian Ogilvy was the Saint, right? Yeah. And I hadn't even seen Roger Moore as the Saint because he had been long gone. I mean, he was doing the Saint when I was just about born. You know what I mean? Right? So I'm going, why are they going on about this Roger Moore being the Saint? It's this Ian Ogilvy guy that I used to watch as the Saint. What's all that all about? You learn later on, So so like I say, Rod, I think it was Rob Hubbard that I first heard, and I just went, that's it. And that, like I say, I still think David Whittaker's fantastic. I still think Ben Gardar-Gleesh is great. All of those sort of stuff, fantastic stuff. But that was the first thing I heard. So
yeah, nah, pretty much the same. So anyway, folks, listen, I'm going to keep your questions for myself rather than ask you them. I'm going to keep them for next week. I've got
you've got weeks now of stuff that you can answer. But hey, girls and boys, that doesn't stop you from writing in with your questions for next week.
Please do. Like I said, I know I'm like a broken record. It makes my job a lot easier when I've got stuff to talk about. Definitely. So anyway, listen, folks, I'm going to thanks, Craig, for joining me at the last minute, as always. I hope you all have a great weekend. And till next time, folks, as always. Oh, by the way, I'll not be doing a live stream on Sunday. I'm going to see Fish from Marillion. Fish. He's playing. It's his very, very last live gig.
I'm going back. You know what? I'm so jealous. I haven't been to a concert in actually ages. And I'll tell you what, I'm such a pauper that when I finish on here, I'm watching Top of the Pops on BBC 4 like I do every Friday. It takes me all the way till midnight. I can watch 1987, 1977, and all the rest of it. That's all I get.
I do that as well. But yes, I've got my Fish concert. It's called the Fish Farewell Tour Road to the Isles. And this is
so jealous.
The one on Sunday is it's not his last tour, it's his very last performance in Glasgow.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it'll be quite emotional.
Are you going to save it for a program or something like that? Have they done a special thing for that? Or
nah, I'm not really that fussed about it. I remember spending a fortune when I went to see War of the Worlds, probably 2001. I thought I'll buy a program and it'll be worth a fortune. What I didn't realise is it was going to continue going on for another 20 odd years. So
yeah, but it's that was the original one with Richard Burton as the head.
Yeah.
So it is actually worth something, that one. I've got that one.
If I could find, I think I spilt coffee on it, if I remember rightly. But
you silly sod.
I know. Anyway, listen, definitely won't be along on Sunday, but I'll try and get one put out on Monday. So until next time, folks, have a great weekend. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching.
Bye.